What's happening, everybody? I'm back. It's me, your resident supervillain, Mr. J. Washington, and I'm here with this series premiere review for DC Universe's Swamp Thing. Now, I'm going to try to be as vague as I possibly can, so I'm going to possibly try to keep spoilers out, but just in case, you might want to wait. But I think we're going to be really good. Now, if you watched the Doom Patrol reviews with me through the majority of the season, I brought this man along and I had to bring him back for this one. Winston A. Marshall is in the building. I'm going to start out nice with this season, like I appreciate him. But as you know, throughout later on in the season,
a lot of shit.
A lot of bullshit.
Because we saw some wild shit. Like, we're not, like I said, it's going to be spoiler free, but like, we saw some wild shit.
Yeah, I know I just was unprofessional dipping down. I thought I had it in my lap and it dropped it. I had to clap all this
It's fine,
shit.
I was talking and nobody paid attention.
Okay, cool. So, what were you expecting first and foremost going into the season, this whole series?
I mean, based on the trailer, I was expecting kind of like a horror show. And that's what you kind of get. It's not like, I wouldn't say it's like jump at you scary type horror. It's more kind of a thriller. You know what I mean? Because there's like a mystery that's being solved the whole time. Already we have a lot of questions. Like,
and did you notice I didn't even ask you already what we got? I just said, what were your expectations? And then you started saying other shit that we got. What were your expectations? See, you see how the bullshit starts already, ladies and
that's not
gentlemen?
bullshit. It's called a transition.
I didn't need your transition because I was going to give my expectations.
Yeah,
you know, say you want to be here? You want to do this? You want to be on this level? You want to play this game?
Are you done? It works every time. That's fine. My expectations, I was going to get a horror. I got a thriller. I like it. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to have to adjust the volume real quick on the mics because I thought it was higher. Well, I did. I knew, given the fact that it was James Wan, it was going to be a horror-filled thing. James Wan that's what he's known for. Knowing the character and the lore of Swamp Thing, having seen the old Swamp Thing films, knowing about it from Justice League Dark and things like that, I knew what to expect. I was the trailer got me, and I was like, let's see what this is. The whole breaking it down from 13 to 10 episodes, I was a little bit like, fuck, what are they gonna do? The trailer accents, one minute they had a Nolans, Louisiana type accent, then it's gone in the trailers, and so I was wondering what would happen. Well, we got the episode, and it kicked off first and foremost. I don't want to go full in-depth scene by scene, but shouts out to the homie RJ Seiler who was in it, which made me really think, and I brought it up to Winston because he was in Black Lightning, right? And if you remember Black Lightning, please check out my reviews with Ashley Victoria Robinson. In Black Lightning, at the end of the season, he's in a car that blows the hell up. And also, they did pronounce him dead. So, I forgot. They did pronounce him dead following episode. But then he pops back up in this, and it's kind of dope to see him in it. And I was like, yo, my man's is in this episode. Hopefully, he's going to make it through the series. And let's just say, it's normal black people thing in horror. This ain't no spoiler. Shit's real. Niggas die.
I mean, it happens in like the first 30 seconds, so I'm not even going to really, it's not really a spoiler.
It's just like black people die in these things.
It is what it is, man.
It sucks.
But good on him. Look good on my young brother out here, you know, still getting these guest stars, stacking up them credits. Like, do what it do, baby.
Yeah, but I mean, we start seeing graphic violence, the horror edge comes right out the gate. So it sets the tone for what you're going to see in this whole thing.
Like, without getting into too much detail, the thing that I really loved about it is, if for anybody that, I think the scariest movie I've ever seen was the movie Contagion that came out a few years back. That's a lot of what this feels like. There's some weird virus going around and trying to figure out what the fuck is happening. And, like, instantly I'm hooked just because of how they immediately get into this whole level of, we have no idea what's going on. There's something more sinister, like, kind of beneath the surface and whatnot. And they give you a good idea of what you're in store for, what this ride is going to be like throughout this series.
And how it starts, especially, too, with that. And then it goes to the scene in the Congo where you see these little black... First of all, shouts out to little black boys protecting their little black sisters. There's this shorty. It's in the Democratic Republic of Congo. There's a dude with a suit, a biological suit on, and he's trying to get to the little boy. Shorty is like, move, but Shorty swinging a machete. Now, that ain't a spoiler. That's just letting you know he will protect his sister. But a lot of what we see is based around that, around this horror element, like you said, around this virus that nobody knows. But for some reason or another, you have Alec Holland, who's a biologist in this. He's been studying it. You have Abby Arcane in this version. She works for the CDC, so she's trying to figure out why it's infecting people. And that's what brings the two worlds together. I think when we do see them come together, we start to build the story. And the thing is, we don't spend a long time building the story of the two of them together. It's like we get a good 15, 20 minutes of that.
I mean, no, it unfolds throughout the episode because, I mean, they both kind of talk about their past and, like, feel some type of way about stuff. So we get it that way, but I think it's one of those situations where, like, as the season unfolds, you'll get more in depth as to who they are and what they're.
But that's what I'm saying. It doesn't become one of those things where we're doing a lot of exposition in this first episode.
It's really about the mystery.
It's about the mystery. It's about what's going on, and we get. One of the biggest things, and this may be a spoiler or whatnot, but I don't care. We get Swamp Thing in this episode.
It's not a spoiler.
You know, because most people say, oh, we get it in the first episode, we get in the second. You know, because some people don't expect right away, knowing how this character is.
I mean, I get it, but how weird would it be to have a titular character and him not show up in the first episode?
Well, I would see the second. I can see the second. And the first episode being an establishment, but the fact they went right into it.
I feel
you see what I'm saying? You use the first as that exposition and establishment. The second one is boom, now we're rolling full steam. But they gave it to us in this episode. And
I'm just trying to think of, like, any sort of show
that's done that?
Well, that has a titular character, like it's named after the character, and they don't show up in the first episode.
Well, remember, we didn't see all the Titans.
But you still saw some of the Titans. The Titans is a team, so that's different.
True.
You know what
I'm saying?
Fair. Like, can you imagine like seeing like the movie Batman Begins and there's no Batman the whole time? Like that shit would be wild.
Oh, technically, did you notice? I know this is still in the realm of DC. Did you know that within all of the Batman films, Batman does not have more screen time than Bruce Wayne?
That sounds about right.
The majority of the movie, you get maybe about. In a total of all the Batman films, they say it's like only like between 45 minutes and 2 hours worth of Batman total.
I can understand that for two reasons.
In all the Batman films.
No. I can understand that for two reasons. The first is the costume, especially the early one with the no neck turning and everything. So part of that is probably how much of a production nightmare it is to like actually like portray Batman on screen. And I guess the other thing is like, for the most part, the more humane part that we're going to tap into is Bruce.
I guess, but the movie isn't called for me. I was talking to somebody about this. It's not Bruce Wayne's Batman. But anyway, you do see Swamp Thing in this. Yeah. I'm really, for me, with this pilot episode, I'm glad we don't have him long, the guy who played Alec Holland, because I wasn't sure how I was going to feel about him. That's why I'm kind of glad we got to Swamp Thing off jump. You know what I'm saying? Like, we don't have to see the man who becomes Swamp Thing. Now, to watch Crystal Reed, I believe her name is, who plays Abby Arcane, she's gonna have to grow on me. I'm not familiar for any of her other work, but she's gonna have to grow on me. So your thoughts on that?
No, I don't disagree with you. I have seen her around before. My brain is just kind of fried as to what I've seen her from. I don't have a problem with it. I mean, again, it reminds me a lot of the movie Contagion. God, Schmodown, I'd be losing right now. Who was the main woman from the CDC in that? It was. Anyway, she reminds me a lot of the main character in Contagion as well. And so there's an immediate connection there that like I'm good with it. If you got to grow on you, that's fine. But like I've just
you have the connection, so it's a difference. I mean, and that's what happens. Again, we both had the connection knowing who Virginia Madsen was and saw in her introduction into it, so that worked. But again, one of the biggest things I talked about earlier, and I'll go back to, are the accents. In the trailer, 1 minute they gave them accents, the next minute it was gone. And it seems as if they decided to not really go through with it. But the problem is, you hear the accents fall in and out of a lot of people throughout this.
My guess with that would be they probably did reshoots to get rid of the accents, but maybe sometimes they didn't get the take that they wanted, so they had to kind of keep some of the shitty stuff.
Yeah.
That would be my only guess, though. You could, honestly, what's weird about that is you could ADR it, so I don't know.
You can absolutely ADR it.
So I don't know what's going on with that.
And I mean, the thing is, this show, granted it comes out, it debuts on the 31st, so depending on when you're watching this, but ADR isn't that long, but I know it's probably a logistical nightmare at the end of the day to get all of that done. So who knows? But I know there's so much I want to go in depth about, but I do like the fact, I like the CGI they do in this. And by the CGI, I mean making the swamp come alive. The swamp is a character within this show. You know what I'm saying? You have Swamp Thing, but the swamp in itself is its own living entity in the show. There is a scene where the swamp takes over and is wrecking shop in a hospital. I'm not going to go full in depth to that, but I just will let y'all know that I jumped like a bitch.
You really did.
Next to Winston.
You really did. Like, I was actually, y'all, I'm sure a lot of you have seen the It Chapter 2 trailer thing that we did, Bro, I just was not having
Oh, that is it. I forget he's not a horror dude.
I'm not. But I was actually very calm the whole time. Like, I was very, like, kind of calm until this thing said, oh! And I was like, nigga, will you get off me?
He surely did. I mean, but it just happened, okay? It just happened. But there are a lot of moments like that in this episode, in this premiere, which means I'm hoping we continue that. This is a James Wan thing, like I said before. I'm hoping we continue that throughout this entire series. Again, I'm still upset it's 10 episodes. But we shall see. Now, a lot of people said that it being dropped from 13 to 10 doesn't bode well for the series as far as it might not last and have a second season, but we shall see about that. I just hope this thing grows. I like what we've gotten. I like where we're going. I like the horror element, the story. I got a RoboCop type feel, like a RoboCop type element that I was wanting to happen. Like, okay, here's why he's like that. So there was a part, so if you know the story Swamp Thing, everybody knows that Alec Holland goes through an accident, whether it's he's an explosion, he's murdered, he's put in the swamp, the chemicals in the swamp, and the swamp change him. Bam, right? I said, because normally, like, they kill him, I was like, I want him to go out like RoboCop, but I want him to get shot in the dick first. Like, I want his dick to get blown off by the swamp. Like, wow! So he was like, Jesus Christ.
That's just not necessary.
I'm like, this is a horror. Give me all of the horror. You know what I'm saying? Make it go all the way.
You know what I actually appreciated about it, and you guys will see? It's actually like high quality B camp. That's kind of the feel of the special effects. It's high quality B camp. So like it has that campy B movie feeling,
but it's in real high quality.
Really well done.
It's very. I mean, it doesn't. Like, there are times you see some CGI and it looks super cheesy and you're looking at it and you're like...
But not in a turn-off way, in a way that you're
No, I'm saying that there's some, not with this, I'm saying there are some you'll see.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, there's some you'll see, but not this at all. Not this at all. Sure. So overall, man, because we couldn't give away any really spoilers and whatnot, your first episode of Swamp Thing, man, what are your thoughts? What are your ratings on a scale of 1 to 5?
Scale of 1 to 5, I'll give it like a solid 3.75, 4. Just in that, like, you know, I think it did a good job of establishing stuff. You know, I'm still having, hangover is the wrong word, but I'm still riding high on Doom Patrol. So, like, I've put the bar kind of high right now.
Yeah, I can see that.
But I do think that we have something solid here, and I'm very curious to see where it goes from here.
For me, it's a 4. I don't so much as say the bar is a certain way because of Doom Patrol, even though it is. Because I'll say the same thing I said about Doom Patrol when it came to Titans. Titans, I was like, well, we'll see what happens. And then Doom Patrol came around and changed everything the way I thought. But also, there's a different type of vibe what I'm getting with this. Sure. I'm getting a horror superhero movie. Sure. Superhero TV show, excuse me. And I'm looking forward to that. Again, I want to see more build upon it. So I can't come out the game and be like, yo, it's a 5 off jump. Like, there are some that are like that. Right. You know, but this for me is a 4, 4.5. So we'll see about that. But Winston, go ahead and tell the people how they can find you.
You can find me on all the socials. The Swaggy Blerd, THESWAGGYBLERD. That's Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, all that stuff.
And you already know. Find me at Twitter, Instagram, Mr. J Washington, MRJAY. You should know how to spell Washington. Make sure you're joining the Supervillain Squad on Patreon. Patreon.com/Mr. J Washington. I just spelled it for you. And check out the Mad Titan podcast, where I get you caught up on everything that's happening in Marvel and DC live action cinematic universes. It's barbershop talk for nerds, so come join in the combo. It is everywhere you get podcasts from. So that means iTunes, Google Play Music, Spotify, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, all of the rest. It is everywhere. Go ahead and download the Mad Titan podcast. You are not going to regret it. I promise you that. We will holler at you guys next week or later, whenever the next episode comes out. Till then, I'm out of here.